How you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today I had a nice conversation with one of my friends, Mark, and we talked for a while. It's always nice to get back in touch with friends that you haven't seen for a while. He just messaged me saying that he's been enjoying these videos. He's another comic book guy. We worked together for a while on the same job, and we ended up going to comic stores and raiding comic book places together. So when I told him that I moved and there was a comic book store on the block, he was like, okay, I'm going to come. I want to read the back issue bit. There's a bunch of good comic book stores by me. So that should be fun. So it's exciting to have a guest come into my new place. But I asked him for criticism about my channel, and he just says that a lot of Marvel, not enough DC, and there's been no Batman. And then I thought for a second. He's absolutely right. I didn't do any Batman comics. And I have at least 2 full long boxes of Batman, and I love Batman, and I can't believe that I didn't do any. So here we go. I went and I dug this one out. This is an odd one, and I have a reason for picking this comic out. Okay, so here we go. This is Detective Comics. When I organize my comics, I do a weird thing. I put them in alphabetical order, but they're in alphabetical order by character. So, like, Batman Detective Comics would be Batman Detective. So this is up close. This was in like a box 14 out of 188. When I know it should be, it should be near the D's. I'm thinking of changing that policy. I don't know. What do you guys think? So like it would be Superman, Adventures of Superman, Man of Steel, Superman, and the X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, stuff like that. Just so I could keep all of the, when I want to read a Batman, they're all in one area. But enough about that. Let's talk about the comic. So this is DC Comics, Detective Comics. This is issue 594, 75 cents. Art by, here's some credits, Wagner, Grant, Brayfolder, and Mitchell. They're all on the cover. This is like this because I got it in a direct comic, a comic book store rather than on a newsstand. And let's check this out. I like this cover. I just like there's no superfluous words on it. The beep beep from the bomb. We didn't really need that, but whatever. But it's like a photograph, really. There's just no superfluous words on it. Nothing to take away from the art. Here we got. We'll see some new ads because this is a new, this is an era of comics I haven't yet really explored in my channel. So case book, The Batman, Ecstasy, and bizarre looking splash page there. Splash page, for those who don't know, is within the first page or 2 of a comic. It's usually one single panel, and it's there as like get the action going. Introduce everything, almost like a movie poster or something like that. So here's the credits. Alan Grant, John Wagner. As far as I'm concerned, Alan Grant and John Wagner, I don't know if they team up often. They teamed up in this particular story, but individually they're both just solid comic book writers. Alan Grant could write anything. John Wagner I'm less familiar than Alan Grant, but I do know they are both solid comic book writers. I think Alan Grant mostly did DC work. Norm Brett-Fogel. His art is I could see it's not everybody's cup of tea. It's kind of scratchy. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Sal Buscema or Walt Simonson. I guess by today's standards, it's a little old-fashioned. When he's inked by a strong inker, he's just dynamite. Him doing his own work, I could, it's kind of hit or miss. And there's a reason why, again, I picked this comic. Todd Klein lettering. Here's an odd comment. Todd Klein and John Workman are my 2 favorite letterers. I know it's weird to have favorite letterers, but they're my 2 favorite letterers. I think they use the same kind of like font or whatever. But John Workman did the lettering for Walt Simonson's Thor run. And Todd Klein, you see him, he's all over. He's just a good letterer that... he knows where to place the text boxes so it doesn't cover up all the art. And I just like that he emphasizes words that need to be emphasized. And I just find that his I don't know if they use fonts or if it was handwritten. I don't know how lettering is done. I still don't really know much about lettering today. I'm sure today it's just typed in, but it's just so easy to read. And the older I get, the more I appreciate that. Adrienne Roy coloring. Adrienne Roy is another. I think she was mostly like a DC workhorse, excuse me. And I know that she did a lot of the classic Teen Titans and stuff like that. She's just a very good color in the fact that her colors don't overshadow the art. They do just what is necessary. I say that a lot, but that's what quality color is supposed to do. You're not supposed to detract from the art. You're supposed to enhance it. Daniel Rasper, assistant editor. There's a funny thing about my hands are still filthy. My hands are always filthy. Dan Rasper, he did a comic called Young Heroes in Love, and it just got canceled on a cliffhanger. And I always wanted to know what happened. I kind of like that comic. It was like a soap opera superhero. Danny O'Neill, a legendary writer, editor at DC Comics, created by Bob Kane, which was a big deal. It was like a lot of fighting to get Bob Kane's name in the credits for, I think it was the Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Batman movie. They didn't want the bad publicity, so they settled with the Kane estate and got his, recognized him as a creator. Danny O'Neill just died within a year. If it's been 2 years already, then I'm amazed at how fast time is flying. But he died. He was just a all-around good guy. He edited a lot of stuff. He actually wrote like what they call it, the Batman Bible. It was just an outline that he would give to all Batman writers on this is the philosophy of Batman. And you could look it up online. That's something I should do. See how the editor would guide the comics. And sad to say, I'm sounding like an old fogey, but the days of like editors guiding the comics into a particular view are kind of dead. And that's how like continuity and consistency is just out the window. Like every time there's a new art team, it's almost like a new comic these days. So let's look at the Indicia. I still not 100% sure how you pronounce that. Okay, that's funny because I thought that was 1981, but it's 1988. So this comic is 1988, and it is in remarkably good condition. So that's Batman. Everybody knows that's Batman. And this is Joe Potato. This is the first appearance of Joe Potato, and that's why I picked this comic. And who cares about the story? Ecstasy. It is a noun. Okay, so it's talking about ecstasy over here. So just very gritty and noir-y, Batman comic. Look, everybody's just like kind of normal, and this it just made me laugh. This is every comic book street gang in the 80s. They look like the extras for fame. They're probably the least scary street thugs you've ever seen. Look at them. You expect them to start snapping their fingers and dancing like jets and sharks, and what are they going to do? Oh, a car's coming, and they're smashing the car and attacking the car, and here comes Batman. What's going on? Like I said, this must have been a little rushed because Brett, what's his name? Breyfogle is usually a little more detailed and more crisp in this. So Batman comes swinging down. Crunch. And look at this freakazoid. So, you see these eyes? He's on a drug. And he's hearing voices, and he's calling the voices ecstasy. And this is before the actual drug ecstasy. So it's kind of like precognitive that they came up with a drug called ecstasy before the actual drug. I think ecstasy was came about in the mid-90s. Anybody, any of my viewers, drug heads, and take a lot of ecstasy, want to correct me, please let me know. So Batman pulls this guy out and saves his life, and he's all freaking out because he lost control. I couldn't help it. You lying, man, So the street thugs, I guess they're going to snap their fingers and dance fight this guy, and this guy's just all freaking out, and he, Batman, he gives the keys, he gives up. What? You're giving us the porch? the Porsche. So he's walking away. He feels guilty. He's not a bad guy. And these guys are driving away with the Porsche, and he's just like da 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 da. Batman's dumbfounded. Okay, arcade. The Superman action line. Will Superman finally conquer evil, or will the villains triumph? You could call Superman and his friends for stories never before heard in this universe. 1-900-909-2323. Somebody please call that. I can't call right now because I'm using my phone for this video. Somebody please call this and tell me if it's still active or not. That would be so much fun. Okay, so this guy's in the street. The guy's in the Porsche swerve, and is that how you pronounce that? And Batman throws a batarang at him. Look, he's got a gun. Look at this fat blob over here. This strange Batman. That's his kid billowing. And Batman throws a punch, and this fat blob ducks. And this guy's laughing. Hey, look, a fight. Come on. Oop, Joe Potato's the man to oblige. So Joe Potato gives Batman right in the bread box. Patoom! Again, I must point out this is only the 5th page, and look at how much has happened. So look, the backgrounds are gone. Who cares about the backgrounds, right? This is Batman and a big fat blob fighting it out in the street. Toop! He's using Aikido, trying to turn my own strength against me. He's good. And fack, so Batman facks him right in the fat Joe Potato face, and then he cluds him, but he's nowhere near good enough. So patoom, and this guy's like, here comes the voice. What do you mean to? They're not even sure they are junkies. So Batman's standing over the body of Joe Potato, and that's what I wanted to talk about. This was my introduction. I started collecting Batman in 1986. So right now I got 2 years invested in Batman, and I started with a Parrow's Batman. I got to get some of that. The Batman that to me is like, when I close my eyes and think of Batman, that's what I think of. Kind of a forgotten Batman artist who's just a classic. And then they made more and more Batman comics. They needed more and more Batman artists. So Batman was grounded. He was a normal human. He was a weirdo in a suit with some gadgets. He wasn't superhuman. He wasn't a god, and he was a detective. So here he is. This guy's Joe Potato. Joe Potato is a private detective. He turns out he's a good guy. So this is the classic two good guys meet, misunderstanding, fight ensues. But Batman was taken by surprise by this fat blob, and this fat blob got a couple of shots in, and Batman had to admit that he was good, and Batman had to up his game to take him out. So it wasn't like Batman just easily beat him. It wasn't like Batman blinked and knocked him out. Batman was like, oh, this guy's got a chance. I gotta exert myself, and I love that this is human Batman. This is realistic Batman. This is it's not like the Michael Keaton Batman where he has bulletproof armor. He might as well be Iron Man. Batman is supposed to be. If you shoot at Batman, you're gonna miss because he moves out of the way. He anticipates where you're going to shoot. It's not that he can stand there and withstand bullets because he's wearing Superman armor. He's not Superman. Superman stands there and takes the bullets because he doesn't want other people to get hurt by ricochets and stuff like that. Batman doesn't allow himself to get shot. He's smarter than that, or he sneaks up on you, or he hides. That's why he wears all dark, so he could hide in the shadows. But so I picked this comic to show more. This is the human Batman that I enjoy. So this freakazoid is talking to whatever, and he's detonating the bomb in his Porsche, and it foidooms. And look at this guy getting killed over here, and he kills all of those West Side Story guys from fame, and he walks away. And Batman and Joe Potato are presumably stunned, and here's ecstasy. The whether he exists or doesn't exist is open to interpretation. Poor wretches. Was he in there? Ed Hallen, guy that owned the Porsche, the guy that blew the bomb. What, you said this was deliberate? As far as I know, yeah. So they open up the fire hydrant and they whoosh and put water on it. Look at Joe Potato. his real name isn't Joe Potato, but that's his professional detective name because he is ugly as all get out and he's covered with scars. I thought this was an interesting character, and if I remember correctly, he's actually like a golden age character that had a short run as a private detective, and he wore like mummy bandages, and they called him Joe Potato because he was fat, lumpy, and he had private eyes, so that, you know, his eyes were everywhere, and he was unfortunately shaped. So Joe Potato, I don't know. I this is his first appearance in the regular DC world, and I think he showed up like 4 or 5 times. Kind of a forgotten character. I like him. I would buy a Joe Potato comic, but I'm a weirdo. So he's talking about he gets hired and all this stuff. Oh, wait a minute. I just skipped over Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, wow. You could get, what is this, like a VCR game? The Dream Package. Get a hat, get that creepy mask. That's pretty cool. A VCR tape. Wow, that is pretty freaking cool. How much did that cost? $98, or 4 payments of $26.50. $100 for all that. Some different ads. The Atlas ad is reduced to this. X-ray glasses. Comic book for sale. Okay, so Joe Potato is talking about the money, the putting out the fire. You know, I that's another thing I like is Batman's actually staying and dealing with the after effects of the superhero action. You know, a bomb blows up, Batman's containing the fire, and then the police show up. Yeah, and he's got to get out of here because, remember, folks, vigilantism is against the law. So, you know, Batman's a wanted criminal. And they were also playing up this stuff. This was like right after Batman's reboot. You know, 1986 DC like rebooted all of the comics. And they were playing up the fact, or they were playing up the idea that Batman was an urban legend. That, like, there is no Batman. Get out of here. That's like Mothman. Of course, that didn't last too long. But it's kind of a cool idea. That this mythical street avenger is out fighting crime, and people deny his existence. You know, that the regular people kind of help him, and the cops either go along with it or don't believe it. So here they are, the charred bodies. Would they put a smoking body in an ambulance? I don't know. And anybody know any forensic procedure? Potato PI. That's the Potato Mobile. I guess it's the Paddy Wagon. Somebody be my friend, please. So, look at Gotham. Gotham is streetwalkers and, you know, liquor stores, what bars, adult videos. You know, this is what Gotham is supposed to be. You know, Gotham is supposed to be crime-ridden. It's supposed to be, you know, low rent districts and stuff. It's supposed to be like basically it's supposed to be like Manhattan in the 70s and 80s. If you ever watch Taxi Driver, that's Gotham. You know, there's some nice areas, but go rent Taxi Driver. That's what Gotham City's supposed to be like. So here is Freak Show over here is going to the Ventriloquist Club, which is owned by one of the lamest Batman villains, the Ventriloquist. Batman, one of the best comic book characters in the world, has some great villains, but he also has some of the worst villains. Not the worst. Filthy fingers just pulled me out of everything. And I washed my hands before touching this comic, too. It's my job. I just got, you know, whatever. I'm a man. I work with my hands. But anyway, the worst rogues gallery, if you ask me, is Superman. Greatest superhero of all time, worst villain catalog. So, Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, probably the 2 best. And yes, Mark, I'll do Spider-Man next. He also said a surprising lack of Spider-Man comics. Batman and Spider-Man are his 2 favorite. So here he is, more bombs, with a timer on it. My eyes played trick to me. I thought he was lighting it. I was like, why are you lighting it when it's got a timer? But he throws the bomb in there, and boom. So Batman hears the boom, goes off. And there's fire. Fire in the ventriloquist. Let it burn. I hate the ventriloquist. So Batman shows up. The phone rings. I wonder, Oh, no, I got that. So he goes to a payphone. Remember, this is 1988, and he's calling Alfred. Alfred is sound asleep with the old sleeping cat from 1888. And Batman's like, I need your help. This is the old Bat Cave, the Bat computers. There's famously a big dinosaur in the Bat Cave, and I, for the life of me, can't recall why. So Alfred's on the Bat computer looking stuff up, helping out Batman. I love this. I need a little bit of help, Batman. He's not a living computer. He's not the Bat God like he became in the late 90s. He's a normal human needing some help. And he doesn't even have a cell phone or a walkie-talkie or anything like that. He had to use a payphone. That's which answers the question. He must have spare change and money on him, right? So Joe Potato, his bat symbol, Batman swooping down. I guess he lands on it and rides on it off panel. This guy's going to a building. Who's he going to bomb next? Ding. The shadowy corporation. Everybody at their screens. It's wonderfully moody. Say what you want about Breyfogle. I could see if you don't like this art. And it's not my favorite. I picked this comic because I wanted to show the human side of Batman. The Batman that I remember, the Batman that is my Batman, the human Batman. But say what you want, but he's wonderfully moody. Like they're just in shadows, lit up by and the colorist does a good job lighting them up. So you just know that they're up to no good. They don't have to say a word, and you just know that it's people. So here they turn around, who's this freak? And he's, hey, what you doing? Just look at that face. You know this guy's selling him some snake oil. And here's Ecstasy ordering this poor freak to do his bidding. When Batman shows up, and I love in every comic book, whenever you see a night security guard, they're always reading the newspaper in a chair. Always not too flattering for security guards in comic books. So look at the angles, just lines. He probably did this comic really fast. Look, the lack of backgrounds. Dave Sim, if you remember I did a review of Cerebus, the Aardvark. He would use a lot of black shadows to cheat, so he wouldn't have to draw a lot of backgrounds, and it really worked because Cerebus was always in dungeons or ancient buildings. It was set in like barbarian times, like Roman times or whatever. So you could always be a torch over here with a lot of shadows in the background, stuff like that. And it was just a good cheat because it filled a panel with depth and perspective and everything like that. But it wasn't a lot of work. It was just cover it up. So this is what Breyfogle's doing, but it works because this is a Batman comic. This is the night. These are the creeps that operate and ruin your life under cover of darkness. So look at this. A good third of the panel is darkness, and then it's also a good spot to put all the dialogue. So I wonder if the letterer and the artist and the colorist all got together. Well, they must. They're all a team. Got together to do that, because that's one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to have your word balloons covering up dialogue. So over here he pushes everybody over here, and this is another coloring trick that it's you got to do it. You can't have all the panels with the same color scheme, because then they all blend together and your brain doesn't separate them. So even though this is darkness, you can't just have it all black and then this all black. It just becomes like a smear on the panel. So he does this purplish twilight gloom because you could see that there's yellowish light from the computer. So it works, but it's also a cheat because who cares about the background? It's supposed to be dark. This creepy, that is very creepy, that picture, huh? He's giving him the Zippo lighter, and Batman comes kicking in. Bam! Everybody surprised. The Bat Cave, some back issues over here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Cleanup cell. At this point in my life, I was working at a comic book store, and I was taking most of my pay in comic books. So, So I didn't really have a need to mail away for a lot of comics. And here's Joe Potato just pushing out this poor fat guy. Batman dismissed him. Now Joe Potato's pushing him out of the way. But time is of the essence. There's a Freakazoid with a bomb. And here's the Freakazoid with a bomb. And I kind of like that his hand is above the gutter into 2 panels. It's a kind of artistic choice to remind you this is why Joe Potato, good guy, is being a jerk and pushing over this guy because of the urgency of this bomb. You could forgive him. So here's Batman closing the distance, and he's not super Batman, just he's still not there yet, you know, funny comic book distance, who knows. Back, I'm warning you, and then he's about to hit the detonator when Joe Potato comes in and startles everybody, and now there's like, what they call that, the Mexican standoff, and here is Ecstasy yelling at him. Again, I is this just the drug, or is this a psychic manifestation that controls people who are weakened by the drug? I don't know, and it's wonderfully ambiguous. So here he is, internal dialogue, he's freaking out. Batman, you know, Batman today, he would have just thrown a batarang at him, take him out, there'd been no drama. But this is human Batman, still a little bit hesitant because this freak has his finger on the button and doesn't know what to do. Do it. So he's gonna push the button. There's no time to lose. Now it's going to happen. You know, you got to move. So he thuds him. A lot of kicking. Batman's doing a lot of kicking, and he kicks him into the elevator. So, oops, he didn't drop the bomb. Now he's in. Oh no, he kicks him into a vault. Okay, and look at the vault. It slams shut and blown up. He's gone. So Batman murdered this guy. You know, you could forgive him under the circumstances. He doesn't want to do it, but he kicked the guy into a vault and killed him. You saved our lives, Batman. Name your reward. We're a rich man. Anything you want? Anything? Don't forget my 10,000, Batman. Haven't been for me, you'd never have gotten this case. Advanced Dungeons Dragons comic. This was a good comic. This was a really good comic. I enjoyed this. Invasion. This was a horrible comic. I did not enjoy this. You will probably not see an Invasion showcase on my channel unless it's an example of a bad comic. So now Batman's going to berate everybody. You know, I don't want your money. I don't need your money. You know, he's a billionaire. They don't need to know that. And the Buford Towers. Just keep your lies all the same. Slime. They tell you keep your lies for the judge. So he's still going to bring him in. So here they are getting arrested for the white collar crimes. Guess I could kiss bye-bye to the other half of the cash Helen probably had in his pocket when it blew up. Hell, I won't let it become a chip on my shoulder. Thanks for your help. You put up a good show for a guy that dresses like a bat. You did well yourself, Joe, for a guy that looks like a potato. You specialize in explosion investigating, Mr. Potato? What the hell happened here? I'm just a guy doing a job for no fee. Hell, Ed, he'll tell you about it. But Batman, and he's gone. That was like classic Batman trope. Look at that, David Macchiavelli Batman. Just want to look at the names. I can barely read it. I can barely read this. This is okay. This page is better printing. It's just like a printing error. And okay, nobody that I recognize. And Danny O'Neill always did these little from the den, just a little editorial. TSR. Oh wow, Buck Rogers. I have that game right up there. I don't know if you can see it, but I bought this game on eBay. I just always wanted to check it out. Dragonlance. Ooh, I might have to get that. But anyway, this is a fun little comic. It was, you know, no great shakes in the whole Batman scheme of things, but to me, it was a good example of my Batman. I'll go into other eras of Batman now, but I wanted to start out with my Batman and meaning my introduction to Batman comics, because before the Crisis on Infinite Earths, Batman was a character on Underoos and Adam West. So Crisis on Infinite Earths came out, Batman became... this is my own ignorance, because Neil Adams has been doing a dark, realistic modern take on Batman for a while now, but I just didn't know about it because I at this point, 85 and earlier, I was avoiding DC Comics because I was a Marvel brainwashed freak. But this pulled me into DC, and I'm more than made up for it last time. I bought a lot of collections, so I have a lot of older Batman comics, but this is one of my first. And there you go. I really enjoyed this. This is in remarkably good condition considering how long it's been in my collection. But I read my comics. I put them in boards and backers. I get the correct tape so that they don't yellow, and put them in a box. And there you go. How do they get beat up? And thanks a lot. I'll do a Spider-Man next. I'm going to go look for a good Spider-Man comic to showcase next. So thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, I'm having a lot of fun with these, just going through memory lane and talking about these comics. As you can see, I'm open to suggestions. Anybody have a character or a comic they'd like to see showcased? If I have it, by all means, I'll gladly showcase it. And I'll tell you everything that I remember about it, which isn't much because I'm losing my memory. Because I'm actually a mummy that's been propped up to this chair, and I have servants that put the comics in front of me, and that's why my hands are dirty. It's decayed flesh. Okay, so there you go. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.